Hello everyone, welcome to another week in my garden. We sound a bit empty today because I've emptied the greenhouse and we're echoing a little bit. So now I'm going to sterilise it today. Now first thing I've done is emptied it, so I've took all the peppers out. Down here is the last of all the peppers we had. They'll go for dehydrating probably. I've taken the table that we have in here, or the bench with the cuttings on, I've taken that out while we get on with the sterilising. I'm going to spray all the inside walls and ceiling with an algicide. This stuff that you see actually growing on the glass and on the walls, it's an algae, it's now doing a fungicide. And then when that's finished, that's when I'll sterilise the floor. The floor I'll do with Jay's fluid, but I won't put Jay's fluid on the top because the Jay's fluid, to get rid of algae, you've got to scrub it as well. So an algicide will take it off quicker. So we'll use that on the top and Jay's fluid on the bottom. Most of this you see is algae, not fungus. So we'll put it on and we'll see how we go. I'll just move these peppers to somewhere safe and I'll put my knapsack on and I'll spray one half so you can see. Okay. I use a fan nozzle on the sprayer so that I get a V shape and it doesn't mist up the greenhouse too much. So I'll just do this end. We do the walls first and then the roof last. So we'll do these walls. So good spraying. And there you go. And then when it's all finished, what we'll do is, when it's dry, we'll paint it and set it all up ready for the next season then. I'll finish off and then we'll go down and we'll pick the apples. Okay? Soon we'll be coming down to prune these in the winter. So if you can see, the fruit is all at the bottom, so we're going to leave this at the top and let the fruits come up here next year, but remove a lot of the bottom growth that is actually pulling the branches down. That's not good at all, we don't want that. So we'll have the fruit, these will come down a little bit with the fruit, but we don't need fruit dragging down here like this. Bearing that in mind, ready for when we do prune midwinter. We'll get this fruit picked and then I'll take it to the shed. I shall go through every one again to check and make sure they're good, and the good ones I shall store in the shed. I'll probably put some newspaper down and separate them so they're not touching onto the shelves in the shed. It takes me back for when I was a child, that was a job I had to do in them days. So let's harvest them. Having a lot of problems with the birds, so we're sharing them a little bit, but that shows how sweet they are when the birds like them. So that one's obviously not going to be stored. So we'll pick them before we lose any more and get them in the shed. Okay? Lift them up and they just come away in your hand, look. Look at that, look. See? If you see this one, yeah, just lift it and away. And they are, as you can see, they're absolutely beautiful apples. And so sweet, they're unbelievable. But never mind, let's get them harvested. Obviously when you're doing it, don't bang them about, because if you bruise them now, they'll be rotten in storage, so very, very careful. Always place, don't throw. Okay? They're coming well. We'll pick all these apples while we're here today, because we don't want the birds eating them and pecking them. I'll carry on picking them until I've cleared the tree. I'll show you what we've got. and then later I'll show you them in store in the shed. Okay. Right, that's the apples picked. It was only a very small tree, if you remember, and we got, as you can see, we've got 3 boxes off it and quite good apples. What I noticed when I was picking them, I didn't see any maggot holes at all. There was a few where the birds pecked at them, but you'll have to live with that. But there was no actually maggot holes, so the grease spans are doing their job very, very well. Very pleased with the pick, and I'll just let you have a look, and then I'll make room in the shed. I'll have to go through them all again, each one individually, to check them before I store them, put them on the bench, and I'll show you them out on the bench. Okay. I know some people like to work on the names of the fruit trees. I do believe this one is called Spartan. It's very, very sweet eating apple. Crops very, very well, as you saw. Okay, hello there. We're down the garden. Very windy day today, but we're going to take some cuttings of the blackcurrants. I have actually moved some blackcurrants. I'll show you those. There's still one more to plant. I'll take a cutting, then I'll take you down to where the trench is, where we're putting them in. Here's a cutting. This is the one we're going to use. You can use any sort of that length, but we're looking for one with a bit of old wood at the bottom. Can you see that there? Look. So we'll take that off there. Yeah. So there's the branch that we're going to use for our cutting. So we'll go to the site where we're going to put them in, and then I'll show you how to prepare and everything. I've got a waste bucket over there. It'll be easy than throwing the mess down. Okay. So we're at the site where we're going to put the cuttings in, so I'll just prepare the cutting. So what we'll do, we'll take it off. It wants to be 15 centimetres, about a foot long, will be plenty. Perhaps a bit less, never mind. We'll take that off at the angle. Right, and get rid of the secateurs and take these off. We don't want those. Put those in the bucket. There's one compost heap. Take that little leaf off there. Right, I don't know if you can see this, can you? So there's the cutting, slant cut, straight cut, so you know that's the bottom. And we'll go 1, 2, 3. It's a decent one. We'll go 3, and then we're going to take all these buds off at the bottom. Right, we'll rub those out. Don't want those. You see? So there you are. 3 buds at the top, then bare stem down, nice wood at the bottom where the root will come from. Some people do scar this. I don't find it necessary. They root quite well. We go to the trench, slit trench, and in the bottom some horticultural grit and sand mixed together, and then we just take the cutting and pop it in the wall like that till it's on firm, and that's it. I'll just show you one more. So again, here's your cutting. That's come straight off the bush. So we don't want all this at the top, so let's go there. Look, nice slanting cut. Take the leaves off. And I've already taken the leaves off here because there would have been leaves there. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 on this one because it's a bit, see. These, we'll just rub these off. Yeah? There you go, all the way down. Just rub them out. There you go. So there's your cutting. And then we'll pop that in the trench like that against the wall, and then we'll backfill. Just rub some soil down. Just so it's pushing that sand into those roots a bit. See? There you go. And once we got that, we can just tamp it in a bit. I use the end of the fork, says you're bending right down the end of the spade. Look, use the T-handle, it's quicker. Just push those together to that wall. That's it then. Push this soil back in there. Just push it back in. That's it. Now we're well up. We can just do it with the spade now. There you go. Now I will use my foot just to tighten them, just gently. Just press them too, like that. Make sure there's no gaps where the air can get around those cuttings. Make sure they're labelled, and that's it. The only maintenance they're going to need is, especially through the winter, in case the rain and the ice loosens them a bit, is just to come and tighten them up again with your foot. They'll sit there for 12 months before we lift them again, and hopefully we'll have loads of blackcurrant bushes. Should have no problem. Right, I haven't showed you that. Next time we're on, we'll do red currants and gooseberries and some of this old prunus on this hedge. We'll do some of that. I've moved some of the blackcurrants down to this space here. Now we've enlarged the fruit cage a bit. They was a bit tight together up there, so I've moved some here. I'm moving them this time of year because, believe it or not, the ground is still warm and they'll just bed down a bit better, and it shouldn't affect the fruiting for next year. So this is what I do when I'm popping them in. I dig, prepare the hole, and I chop the bottom up. Now these currant bushes etc. are not deep rooted, they'll tend to spread, but there's no need to go too deep with it. And I'll just scatter some fish blood and bone into that. There you go, a bit on the soil, and then we just spin it a bit just to mix it. It is very slow acting, so it's not going to affect the plant much this year. Probably in the spring I'll take that up. As you can see, it's lifted out quite well. I haven't disturbed the roots too much, and I won't. I'll just pop them in the centre, and then I just mix that a little bit, pull in. I'm trying to get it the same level as it was when it was up at the other end. Make sure it's piled up well, and then I'll tighten it down all in one then. So that's that done. To get the fork, it's easier for me to rest. Now I just push it down. The same as the maintenance wise, the same as we do with the cuttings. If you get a lot of wind blowing it about, you might have to just come round and tighten it up again with your foot, but it shouldn't be a lot of trouble. Make good. I'm not digging this deep, I'm just loosening the top to let some air in, and then I won't take that any further because we want to put the rest of the hardwood cuttings in there, and I don't want to disturb that soil too much. I'll just do that at the back while you have a look at what we've done. I'll just, while we're down here, just sort of show you one of the sites I've chosen where the field beans are going to go. Now it's far too wet to even try to put them in today, but as soon as it dries out I'll pop them in, but I'll save a little bit at the end so you can see that they've been put in. Okay, so this is one of the places where I'm going to put them. The brassicas will follow, so the nitrogen from the roots will do them quite good. Up to now they'll be the first set, but as you can see it's far too wet to even try at the moment. That's the trench in the bottom that's been dug with the manure in, and then that's the next load of manure ready to be turned on top, and then we'll move back again. But as you can see it's far too wet to even try it. It's actually starting to rain now, so we'll evacuate quickly and get off the plot. But always remember, if your ground's too wet you can do more damage by trying to work it than letting it drain. Okay, whilst we're on our way back to the house for a cup of tea, we're going to pass the greenhouse. Thought we'd just look in, make sure it's all right. Everything's fine. As soon as it dries we'll give it another wash with some water just to make sure it's all off. Sterilise the floor and get it painted ready for next season. The cuttings and the few herbs that we're keeping through are doing okay. It's doing well. I've left them in the middle because we need to get round the walls to paint, etc. That'll be an ongoing thing until I'm satisfied it's really sterile and clean. It's a job underway, shall we say. Hello there, we're just on our way down to put the field beans in, but I thought I'd show you the clematis that we rooted and show you how it's come on. I took it off the parent plant about 2 weeks ago. It's growing quite nicely now. The roots are popping out the bottom, so we know it's well rooted. So all I need to do now is take those two clips out because we don't want those in there. It's in very gritty compost, so the water will go through all right for the winter. That will sit for the winter now. I might just pop a tie around this just to hold it up, stop it whipping about in the wind. In the spring we'll pot it, because the compost we used, if you remember, is just grit and a little bit of peat. There's very little feed in it, so we'll have to repot it in the spring and then it'll really take hold, and we've got ourselves new clematis. Okay, so we'll knit down and put some of these here field beans in. Okay. Right, we're down at what will be next year's brassica bed. We're all right to put field beans in here because there will be the legumes and there will be the nodules on the roots that produce the nitrogen. So I'm not going to put it where the potatoes etc. are, because it'll be too difficult to adjust the nitrogen in the soil if you've had field beans in. We'll pop them in here because the brassicas will really soak up the nitrogen and they'll like it. The other place I'm going to put it down the bottom around the fruit trees. Well, the fruit trees will enjoy the nitrogen from the beans, but the tops I'm going to chop off and dig into the potato patches, so because we're a little bit short of compost, so we're going to use the tops that we grow at the bottom and use the whole plant on the brassicas just here. So I'll show you what they look like. Those that haven't seen them before, they're just beans. They're just called field beans, nothing special, but put them in. Some people like to put them in because they like something growing through the winter, so that the nutrients don't leach out of the soil. Everybody has their own opinion on that. So let's put these in. Now the other thing to remember, these are beans, so you don't want to be putting them where you're going to put your beans and your peas, your legumes for next year. Now if you're using a 3-year rotation like I am, that means that the plot which will be plot A, will not get any beans in it at all, because that's where I'm going to grow the beans and peas. And to keep the rotation right, we'll pop them in here. What I've done is I've just took the Dutch hoe and just pulled a furrow out with them. Nothing too special, and the ground's still awfully wet, so there'll be no watering in within. So a few in your hand, just drop 1s and 2s in. They'll be dug in next year, so there you are. Put 1 or 2 in there, look. There you are, that's plenty, I think. Plenty in there. If you are ordering them, you'll find they go a long way, so you don't need an awful lot. I have put 4 rows across this little bed. We should get a nice covering. I won't put any in the raised beds, obviously, because the carrots will be going in. I don't want those having too much nitrogen. Just go along. Nothing special. Just cover them up. And then what I do, I just turn it on its end and just tighten the soil around them a bit. And then just tidy. Always tidy up afterwards. If you keep the soil loose, it will stop it from getting as hard as clay. The other thing to remember, if you're out in the wild like I am and you get a lot of pigeons, you will need the face. I'll reset the bird scarer on a stake in the middle. Friday today, a wet week this week. Still a lot of tidying up to do, and the weeding needs doing. The digging to finish for the onion bed. I've sort of left that a little bit because the ground's far too wet at the moment. As soon as it drains though, I'll be back onto it. The weeding, the tidying, getting everything tidied up and nice and tight, ready for the winter. It's quite a job. The other one I've got to do today, I've got to mow my lawns today, but that'll go onto the compost heap, so I'm happy about that. That'll be it for this week, so have a good weekend. Don't get too cold and wet, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Bye now.